What is up, guys? And welcome back to another F1 2021 video. Big thanks to EA again for the early access. Now, today's video, we're going to do a 100% race around the streets of Baku, and I want to test a couple of things. One, the damage model. I want to see if we can get floor damage or any extra damage over the course of a long Grand Prix with lots of wear and tear, with simulation damage. But one major thing that I want to test is the fuel. I want to see if we can underfuel, but still get to the end with fuel-saving measures. We're going to have the safety car on. There's actually an option, which you'll see up on screen right now, which allows you to increase the chances of safety car. We've turned that on, so that's a much-needed feature, which I'm going to utilize in career mode. But yeah, we're going to get into this 100% race. Start at the back. And Charles Leclerc's Ferrari. Please like and subscribe, and let's get into it.
With the drivers currently lining up on the grid, it's almost time to begin today's race event here. We're on the winding streets of Baku.
Thank you very much, Crofty. Let's get into this race. But before we do, I think it's worth mentioning, if I haven't already, that the engine modes in F1 2021 work a lot differently this year. Engine modes have actually been banned in real life in F1, and as such, that's been reflected in the game, and you are locked in standard revs for the entirety of the race. You can only go into lean revs under safety car, so that's going to change the whole dynamic of longer races, but particularly competitive races and league racing. So I'm going to be the guinea pig here, and I'm going to underfuel my car by about 3 laps or so. We've got an increased chance of safety car, which might help us, but I think we're going to have to do a little bit of lifting and coasting to get to the end. 5 red lights, and we are underway for 51 laps of Azerbaijan. It's a full-length Formula 1 Grand Prix, and, well, I like to put myself through a bit of pain and suffering, but it's not exactly pain and suffering, because I love this game. I love F1 games in general. You guys should know that by now. Anyway, it's been an okay start. We get past Nicholas Latifi down into turn 2. Got around his outside, and now we're going to try and get the overlap on him. Nicholas Latifi, of course, the guy who we took out in the last video on the opening lap, so he got a bit of revenge on me by getting me back down into turn 3. Make sure you go check out that video. It was a career mode video, and actually a pretty good insight into what the driver career is going to be like. A dive bomb on Mick Schumacher and Nicholas Latifi. We're up into 18th place now in the Ferrari, and hopefully there will not be any stupid activities down into the castle section. We've traversed that for the first of 51 times. This is a 90-minute race, give or take. And there's a lot of patience, there's a lot of strategy, and a lot of good driving required to get to the end in a good position. We get around the outside of Nikita Mazepin there, and we're now up into 16th place. You can see the engine is actually overheating. Now, by last year's game standards, oh, hang on, hold that thought. We can go up the inside of Russell and Giovinazzi down into turn 1, but Russell gets the cutback and gets P14 back in the end there. So, pretty good move from me there. You can see Russell gets the cutback there. There might have been a visual glitch with Russell's tyre. Of course, early access build. It's caused by when I crash into a wall. Not that I did that in one-shot qualifying and get a puncture. For some reason, it's kind of stuck like that until you reset the game, which is what I did, I think, by this point, so you won't be seeing that anymore. But what was I saying? The engine temperatures are a little bit more sensitive this year. 120 degrees by last year's standards. The engine would still be green, but now it's orange. So when the engine starts to get orange, it's overheating, and as such, the overall output is not as great, and the top end speed is a little bit lower. So keeping your engine cool is going to be of utmost importance in this year's game, particularly now that we can't use lean revs in regular race scenarios. So how we go about doing that is going to be very tricky. As we can see, Daniel Ricciardo has retired from the Grand Prix. That's an engine failure for him. And, well, maybe he didn't keep his engine cool and ignored my tips. So, Lewis Hamilton with some front wing damage. He is going to come swiftly back into the pit lane only after a lap or so of coming in for new tyres anyway. So that's already 2 stops against Lewis Hamilton's name. And he is in a lot of trouble in this Grand Prix. Out he goes on soft compound tyres. We're on board with Sergio Perez now. The very same moment that Hamilton was in the lane, he's trying to get past Yuki Tsunoda and my teammate Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. It continues all the way down this straight where you can see Yuki, I think, gets the position back here on the Ferrari. Does he? No. Forget about that. As you can see, still a yellow flag. I think that might have attributed to Tsunoda staying in the same position in the end there. But you can see I got a little bit creative into that third to last corner and tried to get a better exit. I ran in too deep. Norris on fresh tyres has flown right past me and is now up into 6th place. It'll swiftly be 5th place in a moment. As you can see, we are from the DRS and we're going to hopefully make some inroads on the McLaren and AlphaTauri driver. There's Sergio Perez getting absolutely clobbered on the straight. Round the outside goes Lando Norris, and round the outside goes us into turn 1. Nothing really doing there. Could have gone up the inside, but I thought better of it. Sergio Perez in a much faster car, and that was not a smart place to go for the dive bomb. But now we are going to go round the outside down into turn 3. Have to leave him the space. And we're now up into 6th place. It's awfully confusing now that the positional graphic has been swapped with the lap graphic. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but hopefully that can be fixed for the full game. Of course, this is an early build of it, so many things are still subject to change, most likely. As you can see, the Red Bull driver mounting the curb in the downhill left-hander. That is a corner which I'm interested to see if it will give floor damage over the long-term course of this race with simulation damage on. One thing I do know for certain, though, as we can see, Tsunoda defending the inside right up to the wall, which really caught me out, actually. So it's nice to see that the AI are getting really aggressive. The tyres are going off at this point, so we're getting towards the end of our stint, so leaning on the rear tyres is not great. And we've also got some rain coming our way for this middle stint of the race. And now Sergio Perez has bended in the wall. I don't know what's going on there, but it looks like he's just reacted to me moving late. And, well, he's lost the tyre of his own. So Sergio is out of the Grand Prix. Sorry, that's mostly on me. He tried a quick change of direction. The grip wasn't there on a wet track, dry tyre. And the safety car has now been deployed. Sorry about that, Sergio. It wasn't my intention. I didn't want to take him out of the Grand Prix. I mean, I didn't take him out. He just lost grip. But I did play a major factor in that. But it's really interesting to see a lot more human-like behaviors from the AI. We saw that massive defensive maneuver from Tsunoda, defending right up against the wall. And then that mistake there from Sergio. Just shows that the AI really are improving year on year. I know I'm not supposed to comment too much on the AI, but to be honest, I can only say good things so far. So I think Codemasters will be happy with that. But it's pit stop time. Onto the intermediate tyres. The safety car in the end is timely. This is a double stack pit stop, by the way, for Ferrari. And to be honest, there wasn't much of a delay there. It's much less of a delay than previous games, which again is a step in the right direction. But a swift safety car period later, tyres still very cold at this stage, so this restart is going to be very interesting. And I believe this might be my first running on intermediates, wets on this game. So this is going to be very interesting as we get ready to go back underway. The green flag running in this Baku GP. 30 laps to go, and we're going into uncharted territory here with very tricky conditions. Up the inside of Lance Stroll. At least we know we can't get Lance Stroll with the replay because we're overtaking him. Anyway, we're in P6. P6 in this Grand Prix, and that is absolutely awesome. Doing the long first stint on medium straight to intermediate tyres has really helped us here in this Grand Prix so far. But early stages, you can see I'm really struggling, particularly on corner exit. Here comes Lance Stroll once again on the inside into that left-hander. He touched the curb. Vettel is all over the place as well behind me. I'm all out of shape and, to be honest, very flustered. I nearly lost it all on a couple of occasions there, but leaving the door open for Stroll allowed Vettel to have a run. Vettel nearly crashed himself right there, and then I was all out of shape on the approach to this downhill left-hander, which is already tricky enough to traverse in the dry, let alone when you're in the wet, trying to feel your way through the conditions. It really has been just a baptism of fire, and here comes Vettel on the very next attempt. 2 Aston Martins in a row. Here comes Antonio Giovinazzi around the outside into the downhill left-hander. There's contact, and we're both in the wall. Oh, I'm stuck. Safety car's been deployed, and it's all just got a bit messy. Yeah, I should have left more space.
I am stupid. I am stupid. I switch off everything.
Thankfully, it's a game, and we can pick ourselves out of the barrier and go again, really. So, into the pit lane we go. Not for the first time in this Grand Prix, to change a wing and go again. So, we're only in the halfway stage of this race, and we're already 11 minutes into the video, so this final 30 laps or so is going to be quite condensed, to say the least. But let's hope that with the change of front wing, change of tyres, we can be a little bit more on the pace. I'm still getting used to the conditions. As you can see, I go around the outside of Nikita Mazepin there, turn 2 on the safety car restart. And yeah, I think it's still quite clear that I don't have the pace in the changeable conditions. Russell mounts the curb, and he's now retired. I'm not sure if he retired because he mounted the curb there, or maybe he was already in the process of retiring. But that was quite interesting to note regardless. In terms of the fuel consumption this race, I think we're now in the green, virtue of the 2 safety car interventions. Pierre Gasly having a go at me down into turn 1. But without those safety cars, I would not have finished this race. The fuel burn was quite harsh, and I did do some lifting and coasting. I don't think you saw it in some of the clips that I did include, but I was recovering fuel when I was lifting and coasting, but it was only by like you know, one little percentile, like one little decimal, 0.001 or 2 into a braking zone. So really you had to do a lot of lifting and coasting to the point where it wouldn't be faster to run lighter fuel. I think probably 1 lap in the negative, as Pierre Gasly gets me there. I think 1 lap in the negative in terms of underfueling is probably the sweet spot at this point. Of course, everything's up in the air. The balance might change. But yeah, fuel saving was quite difficult to recover. As you can see, a nice little move there on, was that Schumacher, I believe? Either way, we got past him, and it was quite satisfying to do so. The AI really are that much more racy this game, and it's refreshing to see, because that just makes me more and more keen to play career mode. Normally, I think online is the best way to go. Look at Raikkonen blocking the inside there. If I would have committed to the left-hand side, we both would have been out of the roll. I would have been out of the race because I would hit the pit wall. But yeah, here's the replay. Raikkonen blocking off the move, which is absolutely phenomenal to see. And look at this, Pierre Gasly does the same thing. So the AI really make you work for your overtakes. They make you go the long way around in certain stages, which is really, really awesome. But we're quickly running out of laps in this Grand Prix. It took me a while to phase into my pace after we put on the dry tyre again, while we were waiting for the track to dry up. And we've caught up to the likes of Ocon. We've got past Tsunoda now, but it was a real grind actually to get to that point. The AI at the end really lost their pace, which brought me into the game.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
But there we go, guys. That is a 100% race around Azerbaijan. It's pretty crazy how quickly these videos fly through when you're stuck to 15 minutes. That guy's good looking. But there we go. That is the video. If you have any requests for the next upload you want to see on this game, then feel free to let me know down in the comments. I'm thinking about trying the rest of the tracks that I haven't tried yet and the rest of the cars I haven't tried yet, and just doing a big mix-up and seeing what we can discover, basically. But that's it from me today. Let me know what you think about F1 2021. Do you like it? What needs to improve? What are you most excited about? Of course, there's still, unfortunately, quite a lot which I haven't talked about, which we'll have to talk about in the final video. But please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.